I want you to stop everything for a second and ask yourself one brutal question. Who are you really in 2026? Are you the same person you were yesterday? The one who settles, who hesitates, who convinces yourself that good enough is enough? Or are you ready to kill that person completely and rise into someone the world cannot ignore, cannot stop, and cannot contain? Because the truth is, the old you has been holding you back far longer than you realize. Every fear you have, every excuse you've made, every moment you chose comfort over challenge has been feeding a version of yourself that survives, but never thrives. And surviving is not enough. Not this year, not in 2026. Survival is the past. Dominance is your future. Think about the last time you truly pushed yourself. The last time you broke through the limits you thought were unbreakable. The last time you refused to quit no matter how much it hurt. That moment wasn't easy, was it? You probably remember the struggle, the fatigue, the fear. And yet, what did you learn? That the pain was temporary, that the struggle was optional. No. What you learned, whether you realized it or not, is that growth only comes when you step into the fire, when you embrace the discomfort, when you refuse to run from the challenge that tests every ounce of your courage, discipline, and determination. 2026 is going to demand that kind of fire, and it will reward only those who walk through it relentlessly. Now, I want you to imagine this, a version of yourself that has shed hesitation, doubt, and excuses like dead skin. A version of yourself that wakes up every day with purpose, with discipline, and with the kind of hunger that cannot be sated by mediocrity. A version of yourself that turns pain into fuel, setbacks into momentum, and every obstacle into a stepping stone toward domination. That version isn't a dream. It is a choice. It is a decision that you make in this moment, right now, and every moment after. It is a commitment to kill the old you, piece by piece, until nothing remains of hesitation, weakness, or limitation. And let me be real with you, this journey will not be easy. The old you will fight. Fear will scream. Excuses will beg for attention. Comfort will whisper in your ear, stay the same, play it safe, avoid the pain. But the new you doesn't negotiate. The new you doesn't compromise. The new you moves forward anyway, with intensity, focus, and relentless action. 2026 is not a year for the passive, the hesitant, or the weak. It is a year for warriors. It is a year for people who decide right now that they will no longer tolerate anything less than the absolute best version of themselves. So listen carefully. By the end of this video, you will either walk away the same person you were yesterday, comfortable in excuses, or you will take the first step toward killing the old you forever. Your mindset, your habits, your actions, and your identity are all on the line. This is your moment, your battlefield, your declaration. Are you ready to step into the fire and become unstoppable? Because the new you is waiting and the old you has no place in 2026. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Most people glance at their reflection and see only what they want to see, an image that comforts them, a version of themselves that is safe, familiar, and unchanged. But the truth is, the reflection staring back at you doesn't lie. It doesn't care about your excuses, your fears, or the stories you tell yourself to avoid change. The person in that mirror, the one you see when you drop the mask, is a raw, unfiltered version of who you really are. And if you want to kill the old you in 2026, you have to start here. You have to face that mirror with a ruthless honesty, with a courage that refuses to blink, with the willingness to stare at every flaw, every weakness, every regret, and every limitation that has held you back. There is no growth without this confrontation. There is no transformation without this confrontation. Until you see yourself clearly, until you recognize the patterns, the failures, the habits that have defined your past, you will keep repeating them. You will keep being the same person who dreams but never acts, who talks about change but hides from it, who prays for opportunity while refusing to create it. Looking in the mirror is not easy. It is uncomfortable, painful, and brutal. It forces you to admit truths you have avoided for years. It makes you see that the excuses, the stories, the reasons you tell yourself for why you haven't achieved more are all lies you have been living in. You tell yourself, I don't have enough time. But really you waste hours scrolling, waiting, hesitating. You say, I'm not ready, when the truth is you fear failure more than you crave success. You whisper, I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes, because avoidance has been your companion far longer than ambition. The mirror doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care about your reasons. It only reflects the truth. And if you want to kill the old you in 2026, you have to start by accepting that truth fully, without flinching, without softening it, without pretending it doesn't exist. When you face the mirror, you must ask yourself questions that sting. You have to demand answers that you've been avoiding. Why are you still doing what you know is not serving you? Why are you still holding on to habits that keep you stagnant? Why are you still allowing people, situations, and fear to dictate the limits of your life? These are not easy questions to answer because they cut deep. They force you to confront the reality that for too long you have been living a version of yourself that is small, safe, and unchallenged. But smallness is no longer an option. Complacency is no longer acceptable. 2026 is not the year to tiptoe through life. It is the year to smash the old version of yourself and rise into a new, unstoppable force. And the mirror is your first battlefield. Facing the mirror also means recognizing the habits that have silently shaped you into the person you are today. Habits are the architecture of identity. If you wake up every day late, if you feed your mind with negativity, if you avoid hard work, if you surrender to distractions, you are building the old you every single day. The mirror shows the results of your habits, not your intentions. You might tell yourself you want greatness, but if your daily actions are misaligned, if your discipline is weak, if your focus is fractured, the reflection will remind you that desire alone never built an empire. The mirror doesn't lie. It will always show the truth of what you've been doing versus what you claim to want. And if you are serious about killing the old you, you must treat this truth not as a punishment, but as a guide. Every flaw, every weakness, every line on your face that represents wasted time or unfulfilled potential is a map pointing you toward what needs to be destroyed, rebuilt, and refined. Looking at yourself in the mirror is also about confronting your fear. Fear is the silent thief of potential. Fear is the reason the old you survived in mediocrity. Fear keeps you repeating patterns that comfort you in the moment, but betray you in the long term. You fear judgment. You fear failure. You fear rejection. And when you finally see your reflection, you realize that the person looking back at you has been living under fear's shadow for far too long. But here is the truth. Fear only controls the person who refuses to face it. The person who refuses to see the truth about themselves. When you stare into the mirror and confront every fear, every lie, every excuse, fear begins to lose its grip. When you see yourself clearly, you stop letting the world dictate your limits. You stop letting comfort lull you into stagnation. You begin to see your potential, not as a distant dream, but as a tangible outcome waiting for you to claim it with action. Sacrifice with relentless pursuit. This confrontation also requires brutal honesty about your relationships, the environment around you, and the people you allow to influence your mind. The mirror reflects not only your face, but also the echoes of everyone who has shaped you. It shows the influence of toxic friendships, unsupportive colleagues, negative influences, and those who have held you back. If the old you clings to these people, if the old you stays in environments that feed your weakness instead of your strength, you will never evolve. Killing the old you means recognizing who and what no longer serves your growth and having the courage to let go. It means creating space for new influences, new disciplines, and new standards of excellence. The mirror shows the cost of neglecting this truth. It shows that your environment and associations are as much a part of who you are as your habits and actions. Facing the mirror is also about owning your past mistakes without shame or guilt. The old you has carried them like chains, replaying failures and regrets over and over. But the mirror doesn't judge. It simply shows what has been, and it is up to you to decide what will be. Owning your mistakes is not weakness, it is power. Each failure is an opportunity to dissect, learn, and evolve. Each regret is evidence of a lesson the old you refuse to embrace. But the person looking back at you has the potential to rise above, to crush limitations, and to rewrite the narrative. Killing the old you begins with accepting that your past no longer defines your future unless you allow it. Finally, when you face the mirror and see the truth, you ignite accountability. You stop blaming circumstances, luck, or others for your life. You stop hiding behind excuses and external validation. You understand that the old you failed, not because the world was unfair, but because you used to rise to the challenge. Accountability is terrifying for the unprepared, but it is the cornerstone of transformation. When you fully accept the reflection, you understand that your actions, your decisions, your discipline, and your persistence will determine whether the old you is buried or resurrected by indecision. The first step in killing the old you in 2026 is brutal self-honesty. Face the mirror, see the truth. Admit every weakness, every habit, every lie you've told yourself. Feel the discomfort, embrace the pain, and let it fuel your fire. The reflection staring back is not your enemy. It is your opportunity, your challenge, your call to action. Until you confront it, you cannot grow. Until you stare without flinching, you cannot evolve. And once you do, once you embrace the unfiltered, raw reality of who you are and who you have been, you begin to forge the new you, a version that is relentless, disciplined, fearless, and unstoppable. Look into the mirror, kill the old you, and step into the year 2026 with a truth so raw, so powerful, that nothing can stand in your way. The reflection will no longer mock your potential. It will bear witness to your rise. Excuses are the chains that keep you anchored to the old version of yourself. They are the invisible walls that stop you from reaching your potential, the mental barricades you build so you don't have to confront your own shortcomings. I can't, I'll do it later, or it's too hard is a decision to remain the person you were yesterday, to cling to mediocrity while greatness waits just beyond your comfort zone. If 2026 is going to be the year you kill the old you, the first fire you have to light is inside your mind. A fire that burns every excuse, every justification, and every reason you've told yourself for not taking control. Excuses are seductive. They whisper to you softly, convincing you that the delay, the hesitation, the lack of effort is reasonable. They make you feel safe in your inaction, cozy in the shadows of procrastination. But safety is death disguised as comfort. Excuses are nothing more than lies, and they will destroy you if you do not destroy them first. Burning your excuses begins with self-awareness. You have to recognize that every excuse is an illusion. It is a story you tell yourself to avoid discomfort, to avoid responsibility, to avoid the intense work required to change. You say, I don't have time, but the truth is you choose distractions over discipline. You say, I'm too tired, but the truth is your mind is untrained, your priorities misaligned, your determination weak. You say, I don't have the resources, but the truth is greatness is not handed to the unprepared. It is forged in the fire of relentless pursuit. Excuses are the product of fear, laziness, and indecision. And as long as you let them live, the old you lives too. Excuses thrive on delay. They convince you that tomorrow is the day, next week is the day, the next month is the day. But the truth is, tomorrow is a trap, a lie, a mirage that never arrives. Every time you give into an excuse, you are cementing the habits of the old you. You are strengthening the walls that keep you from action. Excuses are not neutral. They are active enemies of your potential. They are whispering to your mind, stay small, don't push, don't risk, don't rise. If you want to kill the old you in 2026, you cannot negotiate with these whispers. You must hunt them down, confront them, and burn them until they no longer exist in your vocabulary or your mind. Burning your excuses also means understanding the cost of inaction. Every excuse you make is a lost opportunity, a delayed dream, a failure to honor your potential. It is not just a moment wasted. It is momentum lost. The world does not wait for you to get ready. The clock does not pause while you debate your fears. The opportunities that could have transformed your life do not wait for hesitation. Excuses are costly, and the longer you entertain them, the farther you fall behind. If you are serious about killing the old you, you must see every excuse as a thief, robbing you of time, energy, and destiny. And you must respond with a ferocity that leaves no space for compromise. Excuses are also contagious. The people around you, the voices you listen to, the media you consume, all contribute to the narrative that excuses are acceptable. You can't do it because, or it's too hard for people like us, becomes embedded in your mind if you allow it. Killing the old you requires not only burning your internal excuses, but also cutting out the external voices that feed them. You must surround yourself with people who do not accept excuses, environments that demand results, and influences that inspire action. The old you clings to comfort. The old you tolerates mediocrity. The old you rationalizes every failure. To destroy this version of yourself, you must destroy the sources of justification that allowed it to survive. Burning your excuses is not a one-time act. It is a lifestyle. It is a daily decision to refuse the lies your mind tells you. It is waking up each morning and asking yourself, what excuse am I going to burn today? It is understanding that action breeds clarity, that discipline kills hesitation, and that the more you push past the excuses, the smaller they become. Every step forward is a step away from the old you. Every action taken is a nail in the coffin of delay. Every challenge embraced is a victory over the lies you've told yourself. Excuses cannot survive where determination and relentless effort exist. This process is painful. Excuses are seductive because they are easy and burning. Them requires discomfort, effort, and confrontation with fear. You will want to rationalize, to soften, to negotiate with yourself. You will want to say, just this once, or it's okay to rest. But the fire of change demands sacrifice. Comfort is the enemy, and excuses are its weapon. The moment you refuse to negotiate, the moment you refuse to allow excuses into your mind, you start killing the old you. Pain is inevitable, but stagnation is optional. The fire that burns excuses is not gentle. It is intense. It is consuming, and it leaves nothing standing in the path of the person you are becoming. Burning your excuses also requires accountability. You must be honest with yourself about the lies you have been living under. Every time you catch yourself making an excuse, confront it immediately. Name it, expose it, destroy it. Don't allow it to fester, to justify, to grow. The old you thrives in the shadows, hidden behind rationalizations and denials. The new you thrives in the light of action, transparency, and relentless accountability. Excuses cannot survive in a mind that refuses compromise, in a life that refuses delay, in a person who has decided that mediocrity is no longer acceptable. Finally, burning your excuses is the gateway to empowerment. When you refuse to let excuses dictate your life, you reclaim control. You step into a version of yourself that does not wait, does not hesitate, and does not compromise. You become the master of your destiny, the architect of your future, the relentless force that will crush obstacles, break patterns, and redefine what is possible. Every excuse burned is a declaration. The old you is dead, and the new you is unstoppable. 2026 is the year to incinerate the old you completely. Look at your life and identify the excuses that have kept you small, weak, and unfulfilled. Call them out, confront them, and burn them without mercy. Refuse to accept any story that diminishes your potential. Replace excuses with action, hesitation with discipline, fear with relentless drive. Let the fire of accountability, courage, and determination consume every rationalization, every delay, every I can't, until nothing remains of the old you. What rises from the ashes is a version of yourself that is unbreakable, unstoppable, and unapologetically dominant. The old you is waiting for comfort. The new you is waiting for war. Burn your excuses, crush your fears, and step into 2026 as a force that cannot be ignored, cannot be stopped, and cannot be denied. Excuses are the old you's last defense. Destroy them, and nothing can hold you back. Comfort zones are invisible cages. They are the silent prisons that lull you into stagnation while your dreams remain just out of reach. Most people spend their lives inside these zones, mistaking safety for security, predictability for stability, and habit for progress. The old you has thrived inside comfort. It has justified its inertia by whispering, "This is enough," or "I'm doing okay." But 2026 is not the year to tiptoe inside a familiar cage. 2026 is the year to explode it, to burn it down, to confront it with the kind of relentless energy that refuses to settle for anything less than transformation. Breaking your comfort zones is not about small adjustments. It is about tearing down the walls that have confined your potential. And it is painful because growth never exists where ease resides. The problem with comfort zones is that they feel safe, but safety is a lie. The old you believes that comfort is protective, that staying in your routine, avoiding risk, and settling for mediocrity is acceptable. But comfort is a slow killer. It eats away at ambition, dulls creativity, and numbs the drive to achieve more. Every moment you linger in safety, every time you choose the familiar over the unknown, the old you grows stronger and the new you weaker. The truth is, nothing extraordinary ever happens inside comfort. Every breakthrough, every success story, every transformation begins in the place that scares you the most. The edge of discomfort is where your potential waits. And if you refuse to step onto it, you will never know how high you can rise. Breaking your comfort zone starts with awareness. You have to identify the areas in your life where you are settling, where you are avoiding challenge, and where you are clinging to predictability. It could be your career, your relationships, your health, your mindset, or your ambitions. The old you has excuses ready for every area. I can't take that risk. I'm not ready for that challenge. This is too hard. But those are lies. They are the chains that bind you to stagnation. To break free, you must first see the truth. Your life has been shaped by avoidance, and the only way forward is through intentional, relentless discomfort. Discomfort is the forge of transformation. It is not meant to be pleasant. It is meant to shape you. When you push yourself into situations that feel unfamiliar, when you challenge your body, your mind, and your emotions, you begin to discover strength you never knew existed. The first step is simple but terrifying. Do what scares you. Speak up when you want to remain silent. Take risks when playing it safe feels easier. Step into environments that intimidate you. Every time you face the uncomfortable, you weaken the old you and strengthen the new you. Discomfort becomes your teacher, your ally, your fuel. The more you embrace it, the more your identity shifts from limitation to power, from hesitation to dominance. Breaking comfort zones also means breaking habits. The old you clings to routine because routine is predictable, routine is safe, routine is EA. But predictability is the enemy of growth. If you want to kill the old you in 2026, you must examine your daily patterns and destroy the habits that keep you small. Wake up earlier than usual. Push harder than yesterday. Speak louder than fear allows. Train longer than excuses permit. Challenge your body when it wants rest. Challenge your mind when it wants distraction. Challenge your emotions when they demand comfort. The new you is forged in the friction of these daily confrontations, and the old you has no place in this battlefield. Fear is a companion to comfort. The old you hides behind excuses because the unknown terrifies you. But fear is not a wall. It is a signal that you are approaching growth. The moment discomfort feels intense is the exact moment you must push forward, not retreat. The old you will beg you to stop, to retreat into habit and predictability. The new you will insist you move, push, and conquer. The line between the two versions of yourself is drawn at the point where fear meets action. Break through that line repeatedly, and you begin to kill the old you piece by piece. Breaking your comfort zones also demands ruthless prioritization. The old you spreads energy thin. wasting time on things that don't matter, clinging to tasks that maintain the illusion of productivity. The new you focuses on intensity, on high stakes action, on challenges that force growth. You will feel pain, frustration, and resistance as you shift your energy from what is comfortable to what is transformative. But this is necessary. Growth is not gentle. It is violent in its demands. Every discomfort you endure, every habit you break, every boundary you cross chips away at the old version of yourself and builds the new, unstoppable version waiting to dominate 2026. Your environment is another layer of comfort to break. The old you tolerates people, spaces, and situations that reinforce stagnation. Toxic relationships, unsupportive peers, and passive routines all whisper, stay the same. Don't change. Killing the old you requires stepping away from these influences. Surround yourself with challenge, intensity, and ambition. Immerse yourself in environments that demand excellence. Expose yourself to people who will push you harder than you have ever been pushed before. If discomfort is the vehicle of transformation, your surroundings are the engine, and the old you will not survive in a landscape built for growth. Breaking comfort zones is also about mental resilience. The old you craves certainty, craves predictability, craves control, but life is unpredictable. And growth requires flexibility, adaptation, and relentless determination. When you step into discomfort, you will encounter failure, rejection, and pain. This is unavoidable. The new you learns to treat these obstacles as fuel, as training, as the essential fires that forge strength. Comfort zones shield you from these lessons, but avoiding them ensures the old you remains intact. You must embrace the chaos, the unknown, and the struggle, because inside that discomfort lies the transformation you have been waiting for. Finally, breaking your comfort zones is about vision and hunger. You must see the life you want, the version of yourself that is powerful, unstoppable, and dominant, and you must be willing to endure the discomfort required to reach it. The old you will plead for ease. The new you will demand sacrifice. The more you push, the more you grow, the more the old you dies. The process is not short and it is not easy, but the reward is worth every ounce of discomfort you endure. 2026 is the year to break comfort zones completely. Tear down the walls that have contained you, challenge yourself relentlessly, and embrace discomfort as your teacher. Do it and OT negotiate. Do not compromise. Do not settle. Every habit, every fear, every predictable choice that kept you safe must be destroyed. Only through discomfort, through deliberate challenge, and through relentless action will the old you perish, making space for the new, unstoppable version of yourself. Step into discomfort. Step into intensity. Step into 2026 as someone who refuses to be confined by safety, because the life you want is waiting on the other side of the fear you refuse to face without rebuilding. Your identity is not a casual suggestion. It is a necessity if you want to kill the old you in 2026. The person you see in the mirror, the version of yourself that has been held back by fear, comfort, and excuses, is a product of patterns, habits, and influences that no longer serve your potential. Every action, every thought, every environment you've tolerated has shaped the old you into a version that is limited, complacent, and bound by mediocrity. But here's the truth. Identity is not fixed. It is fluid, malleable, and capable of transformation. The question is not whether you can rebuild it. It is whether you are willing to burn the old foundations completely and construct a new version of yourself from the ground up. The new you cannot be an iteration of the old. It cannot be a polished version of mediocrity. It must be radical, relentless, and uncompromising, because anything less will fail to dominate 2026. The process begins with acknowledgement. You must confront who you have been, what you have tolerated, and what limitations you have accepted. The old you has been shaped by doubt, fear, hesitation, and the influence of people who did not believe in your potential. Rebuilding your identity requires brutal honesty. You must dissect every habit, every relationship, every thought pattern that has allowed the old you to survive. This is uncomfortable because it forces you to see the truth of your failures, your compromises, and the ways you have sold yourself short. But discomfort is a sign of growth. And if you are unwilling to face this truth, the old you will remain intact. Identity cannot change without awareness, and awareness cannot exist without honesty. Once you have confronted the old you, the next step is to redefine your core beliefs. Identity is built on belief systems. The old you believed in limitations. I am not capable. I am not enough. I will fail if I try. These beliefs shaped your behavior, dictated your decisions, and kept you trapped in patterns of mediocrity. To rebuild yourself, you must rewrite the code in your mind. You must adopt beliefs that empower, not weaken. You must see yourself as capable of endurance, excellence, and relentless achievement. You must see yourself as someone who does not quit, who does not compromise, who does not settle. Beliefs are the architecture of identity. Change the beliefs and you change the blueprint of who you are. Rebuilding identity also demands the destruction of old habits and the creation of new ones. Habits are the external manifestations of internal identity. The old you woke up late, procrastinated, distracted themselves, and avoided challenges. These habits reinforce the narrative of limitation. The new you must act differently every single day. Wake up with purpose. Push your body and mind beyond comfort. Commit to discipline even when no one is watching. Let every action, no matter how small, reflect the values and strengths of the person you are becoming. Identity is built in repetition. The old you survived on habit without direction. The new you dominates through intentional, relentless action. The environment you inhabit also plays a decisive role in rebuilding identity. The old you tolerated people, situations, and influences that reinforced actness, complacency, and distraction. Rebuilding your identity requires a radical reevaluation of your surroundings. You must surround yourself with people who demand excellence, who inspire growth, and who refuse to tolerate mediocrity. Your environment must reflect the person you are becoming. Toxic influences, energy draining relationships, and negative spaces are the debris of the old you. They must be removed. You cannot build a new identity on foundations that are rotten. The people you engage with, the spaces you occupy, and the influences you allow into your mind must be chosen with precision, discipline, and purpose. Language is another critical tool in rebuilding identity. The old you spoke the language of limitation. I can't. It's impossible. I'm not ready. The new you must speak a different language, a language of command, authority, and relentless action. Speak as if you are already the person you aspire to be. Affirm your worth, your power, and your unstoppable potential with every word. Identity is reinforced through language. What you say to yourself shapes your perception, and perception drives action. The moment you command your mind through words aligned with your new self, the old narratives begin to die. Rebuilding identity also requires a commitment to mastery. The old you settled for average, for minimal effort, for temporary comfort. The new you is obsessed with improvement, growth, and excellence. Every skill you develop, every piece of knowledge you acquire, every challenge you conquer contributes to the construction of a new identity that is unstoppable. Mastery is not achieved through luck. It is forged in the fires of consistency, discipline, and sacrifice. If you are unwilling to commit to excellence in every area, the old you will persist, quietly undermining every attempt at change. But relentless pursuit of mastery leaves no room for compromise. The new identity emerges stronger, sharper, and more dominant with every achievement. Pain, failure, and adversity are also essential tools in rebuilding identity. The old you avoided pain, ran from failure, and tolerated rejection as a permanent obstacle. The new you embraces these challenges as instruments of transformation. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every failure becomes fuel. Every moment of rejection becomes evidence of resilience. The old identity is fragile, brittle, and defined by avoidance. The new identity is forged in the heat of struggle, strengthened by every trial, and polished by the relentless refusal to yield. Pain is no longer a threat. It is a crucible that accelerates the evolution of who you are becoming. Finally, rebuilding identity demands unwavering commitment. It is not a temporary effort or a casual resolution. It is a declaration that the old you no longer has permission to exist. Every choice, every action, every thought must be aligned with the new self. There can be no hesitation, no negotiation, no compromise. Identity is not rebuilt in moments of convenience. It is built in relentless pursuit, in the discipline to act, even when it is uncomfortable, in the courage to reject familiarity, and in the willingness to endure challenges that would have once paralyzed you. The new you is deliberate, aggressive, and unstoppable because it is born from a refusal to settle, a refusal to compromise, and a refusal to return to the limitations of yesterday. 2026 is the year of radical reconstruction. You must kill the old you completely. Every fear, every excuse, every habit, every influence that define limitation must be destroyed. In its place, you must build an identity that is fearless, relentless, and dominant. This is not a gentle process. It is not comfortable. It is violent, intense, and unyielding. But the reward is monumental. A version of yourself that commands respect, achieves at the highest levels, and refuses to be confined by the limitations of the past. Every thought, action, and environment must serve the blueprint of the new you. Rebuild identity deliberately. Rebuild identity aggressively. Rebuild identity so completely that the old you has no chance of survival and the new you becomes the unstoppable force that will define 2026 and beyond. Pain is not an enemy. Pain is not a signal to stop. Pain is the raw material from which greatness is forged. The old you ran from pain, hid from it, avoided it, treated it like a curse instead of a tool. But if you want to kill the old you in 2026, you must understand that pain is fuel. Every disappointment, every rejection, every failure, every moment of struggle contains the energy you need to evolve into a stronger, sharper, more unstoppable version of yourself. Pain exposes weakness, yes, but it also exposes opportunity. It shines a light on what you must improve, what you must change, and what you must conquer. The moment you embrace pain as a teacher, as a weapon, as a forge, the old you begins to die and the new you begins to rise. The first step in embracing pain as fuel is changing your perspective. The old you views pain as punishment, as evidence of limitation, as a reason to stop or give up. But pain is never the problem. Inaction is. Pain is feedback, a guide, a signal that you are pushing past your previous boundaries. Every time you feel the sting of challenge, every time your body screams, your mind doubts, and your emotions falter, you are in the exact place where transformation occurs. The discomfort you experience is proof that you are no longer stagnant. Proof that the old you is being challenged, and proof that the new you is being forged. If you refuse to see pain as fuel, it will consume you. If you learn to harness, it will propel you beyond anything the old you imagined possible. Pain is also a revealer of truth. It exposes weaknesses that have been hidden under comfort, laziness, and distraction. The old you hides from these truths, wraps them in excuses, and pretends they do not exist. But the moment you face pain directly, you cannot deny it. It exposes the cracks in your discipline, the gaps in your skills, the limits in your mindset. Embracing pain requires you to look at these truths without flinching, without rationalizing, and without retreating. The stronger you become in facing pain, the more control you reclaim over your life. Pain no longer dictates your actions. It informs them, strengthens them, and sharpens them. To embrace pain as fuel, you must also take responsibility for it. The old you blames circumstances, other people, or bad luck for the difficulties you encounter. The new you understands that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. You cannot avoid challenges, setbacks, or failure, but you can control how you respond to them. Every moment of pain is an opportunity to rise, to adapt, to push harder, to train your mind and body to endure more than ever before. Excuses die here, hesitation dies here, and the old you begins to crumble because the new you refuses to let pain be a cage. stage. It becomes a springboard. Pain also teaches resilience. The old you quits when discomfort arrives. The old you stops when effort demands more than convenience allows. The old you complains when the world does not bend to your desires. But resilience is forged in the crucible of pain. Every time you endure discomfort without surrender, every time you push through failure without excuse, every time you stand up after being knocked down, you are building a version of yourself that cannot be broken by circumstance, criticism, or adversity. Pain strengthens character, builds discipline, and forms the backbone of an identity that refuses to settle for mediocrity. One of the most important aspects of embracing pain as fuel is learning to see it as a necessary step toward greatness. The old you avoids challenges, risks, and responsibility because they are uncomfortable. The new you understands that the path to extraordinary results is paved with struggle, sweat, and even suffering. Pain is not punishment for ambition. It is proof that you are pursuing it. Every ounce of struggle you endure, every moment of doubt you overcome, every failure you rise from adds to your momentum, compounds your strength, and sets the stage for breakthrough. The old you fears pain, the new you seeks it because it knows the fire of transformation cannot be lit without it. Embracing pain also requires commitment and consistency. One moment of endurance is not enough. One day of courage does not destroy a lifetime of avoidance. Transformation is cumulative. Every day, every challenge, every uncomfortable moment contributes to building a new you. Discipline is forged in repetition. Strength is built in endurance. Identity is reshaped in confrontation with discomfort. The more consistently you face pain, the less it controls you, the more it fuels you, and the stronger the new you becomes. 2026 cannot be won with sporadic effort or selective bravery. It requires relentless commitment to using every challenge as a tool for evolution. Pain is also a motivator for action. The old you uses pain as an excuse to stay small. I failed, I hurt, I am tired, I will stop. The new you transforms it into a call to action. I hurt, I failed, I am tested, therefore I will rise stronger, push harder, and dominate further. This mental shift is critical because it turns obstacles into accelerators. Every failure becomes data. Every criticism becomes fuel. Every rejection becomes motivation. Nothing that happens to the new you is wasted. Pain becomes ammunition, propelling action, sharpening focus, and increasing determination. The social and emotional aspects of pain must also be acknowledged. The old you craves comfort, approval, and sympathy. When life hurts, you look for someone to rescue you, validate you, or protect you from discomfort. The new you rejects these crutches. It understands that no one will fight your battles for you, no one will endure your pain for you, and no one will build the life you want for you. Pain is personal, intimate, and unavoidable. The moment you take ownership of it, the moment you stop seeking external relief, the moment you convert suffering into fuel, the old you dies and the new you rises. Finally, embracing pain as fuel is about vision. The new you must see the life you want, the version of yourself you are becoming, and understand that pain is the price of entry. Every successful, powerful, unstoppable person has endured discomfort that would have crushed the old you. They harnessed struggle, transformed it into momentum, and refused to be broken. This is the blueprint. The old you refuses discomfort, the new you embraces it. The old you fears pain, the new you runs toward it. 2026 is not for the timid, the hesitant, or the weak. It is for those who will use every challenge, every hardship, every ounce of discomfort as fuel to kill the old self and rise into dominance, excellence, and relentless achievement. The fire of transformation burns in the furnace of pain. You cannot avoid it. You cannot negotiate with it. And you cannot succeed without it. The moment you embrace it, the moment you internalize its lessons, the moment you harness it as fuel, the old you begins to die. Piece by piece. Every struggle becomes a weapon. Every failure becomes experience. Every setback becomes preparation. Pain is no longer a burden. It is a tool, a force, and a driving energy that propels the new you beyond every limit the old you ever believed existed. Embrace it, harness it, and let 2026 be the year the old you is incinerated in the fire of relentless effort, discipline, and unstoppable growth. Dreams are powerful, but they are worthless without action. The old you clings to dreams like comfort blankets, imagining greatness without ever moving toward it, rehearsing victories in your mind while the clock ticks away and the world passes you by. Dreams without action are illusions, fantasies that soothe the ego but accomplish nothing. If you want to kill the old you in 2026, you must understand that success is not born from wishing, hoping, or planning endlessly. It is born from relentless action. The kind of action that is consistent, aggressive, and unyielding no matter the cost or the resistance you face. The old you waits for the perfect moment, for clarity, for permission, and in that waiting, opportunity dies. The new you acts now every day with intensity that cannot be ignored, with focus that refuses distraction, and with courage that laughs at fear. The first step in adopting relentless action over empty dreams is understanding the difference between vision and execution. The old you confuses the two. You create elaborate plans, make lists, set intentions, and imagine outcomes without ever committing your energy to execution. You tell yourself, I'm working on it, while procrastination silently erodes your potential. Execution is brutal, unglamorous, and demands discipline. It requires waking up before the world is ready, staying up when fatigue whispers for rest, and pushing through resistance when every fiber of your being craves ease. Dreams are only the blueprint. Action is the construction. And without it, the house of your ambitions remains a hollow shell. Relentless action begins with consistency. The old you operates in bursts, intense today, lazy tomorrow, inspired in the moment, distracted the next. This cycle reinforces mediocrity. The new you understands that momentum is created by repeated, persistent effort, day in and day out, no matter the mood, no matter the obstacle, no matter the circumstances. One extraordinary day does not define success. One half-hearted effort does not dismantle the old you. The new identity is built in the mundane, in the repetitions, in the grind that nobody sees, but that shapes everything. You show up when it's uncomfortable. You show up when it's inconvenient. You show up when failure whispers to stop. And in showing up relentlessly, you starve the old you of its power. Action over dreams also requires immediacy. The old you delays, postpones, and hesitates. Tomorrow, next week, after I'm ready. These are the sentences of procrastination. The new you knows that the perfect moment does not exist. Clarity comes through doing. Confidence is born in effort. Mastery is cultivated by stepping into the arena repeatedly. Every hesitation reinforces the old you. Every delay builds excuses, and every inaction strengthens the identity you are trying to kill. The new you moves now, strikes now, builds now, and in doing so creates results that are tangible, undeniable, and unstoppable. Relentless action is also fearless. The old you fears failure, rejection, judgment, and criticism. You let these fears dictate what you do, how you do it, and even if you do it at all. But action without fear is impossible, and fear without action is deadly. The new you acts in the presence of fear, using it as fuel rather than a barrier. Every time you step forward despite doubt, every time you take a risk, even when the outcome is uncertain, you kill another piece of the old you and reinforce the identity of a person who refuses to be limited by hesitation. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is movement in spite of it, relentless action in spite of it, and persistence even when failure is likely. The old you hides behind preparation. You spend hours, days, weeks preparing, perfecting, and planning while doing nothing substantial. Planning is necessary, but execution is non-negotiable. The new you balances preparation with immediate, relentless action. You prepare, yes, but you do not wait for perfect conditions, perfect knowledge, or perfect alignment. You act with what you have, where you are, and how you can, and you refine as you go. The battlefield of achievement does not accommodate hesitation. You will never learn the limits of your potential from a desk or a daydream. You discover your strength by moving relentlessly, testing boundaries, and daring to fail. Action also requires focus. The old you spreads energy across distractions, fleeting interests, and trivial pursuits. You waste time on social media, meaningless arguments, and tasks that do not advance your vision. The new you eliminates noise, cuts away distraction, and channels every ounce of effort toward outcomes that matter. Relentless action is precise, strategic, and ruthless. You do not scatter your energy, you concentrate it, you measure it, and you deploy it with force. In focus, the old you dies because you no longer allow yourself to waste effort on comfort or entertainment. Every moment becomes a tool to build the reality you desire. Another dimension of action over dreams is accountability. The old you avoids responsibility, blaming circumstances, people, or luck for failures. The new you owns the outcomes of every decision, every effort, every failure, and every success. Action is meaningless if it is not accountable. You track results, measure progress, adjust when necessary, and never let excuses dilute your drive. The more accountable you are, the faster the old you disappears because you no longer tolerate delay, rationalization, or avoidance. Relentless action demands self-discipline. And self-discipline is the weapon that annihilates procrastination, excuses, and hesitation. Relentless action is fueled by urgency. The old you acts when convenient. The new you acts with the understanding that time is a relentless opponent, that life does not wait, and that every day you delay is another day the old you survives. Urgency transforms action from optional to necessary. It sharpens focus, intensifies effort, and accelerates results. The fire of urgency ensures that every move is purposeful, every effort is intense, and every outcome is a step closer to obliterating the old you. Finally, relentless action is cumulative. Every small step, every consistent effort, every TI. NY victory compounds over time. The old you underestimates the power of incremental action. The new you understands that transformation is built on the accumulation of relentless, deliberate effort. Every day you act, you kill a piece of the old you. Every time you push past fear, fatigue, or hesitation, you strengthen the new identity. Every success, no matter how small, becomes proof that action beats dreaming, that discipline beats intention, and that 2026 belongs to the person who refuses to wait for permission, clarity, or convenience. Relentless action over empty dreams is a declaration. It is a refusal to be passive. It is a commitment to fight, grind, and dominate every single day. The old you thrives in fantasy. The new you thrives in execution. Dreams are the seed, but action is the water, sunlight, and sweat that makes them grow. Kill the old you by acting relentlessly, by moving with intensity, by refusing delay, and by understanding that every ounce of effort you invest builds a version of yourself that is unstoppable, unshakable, and undeniable. Dreams alone will not transform your life. Relentless, consistent, fearless action will. And in embracing this principle, the old you dies and the new you reigns supreme in 2026. Becoming unstoppable is not a gift. It is not luck. It is not something that happens to a select few while the rest watch from the sidelines. Becoming unstoppable is a choice, a mindset, and a relentless commitment to domination over every limitation, every obstacle, and every part of the old you that whispers stop or not enough. The old you is stoppable because it negotiates with fear, hesitation, and comfort. The old you allows distractions to rule, excuses to linger, and mediocrity to settle. But the new you in 2026 must refuse all of these, embrace relentless action, and declare war on weakness, doubt, and delay. To commit to Biko. Being unstoppable is to accept no compromise, to forge a will of iron, and to refuse anything that diminishes the power, potential, and greatness within you. The first step in committing to becoming unstoppable is understanding that it begins in the mind. The old you is soft, reactive, and easily defeated by doubt. You let negativity, criticism, and fear dictate your actions. The new you knows that mind governs everything. You must train your thoughts like a weapon. Align your mental energy with your goals and cultivate the kind of focus that cannot be shaken by external chaos. Unstoppability is born in the mind long before it is seen in action. Every day, every decision, every thought that strengthens your mental discipline builds a version of yourself that cannot be derailed, manipulated, or defeated. The old you is fragile because it reacts. The new you is unstoppable because it commands. Becoming unstoppable also requires a radical commitment to your goals. The old you negotiates, hesitates, and tolerates half measures. The new you acts with obsession, intensity, and urgency. Every action is deliberate. Every moment of your life is aligned with the pursuit of excellence. Unstoppability does not exist in scattered effort or occasional bursts of energy. It exists in relentless consistency, in the refusal to quit, and in the unwavering dedication to the life, body, mind, and achievements you are building. You must commit so fully that quitting is unimaginable, failure is unacceptable, and hesitation is erased from your vocabulary. The old you debates, the new you executes without pause. Resilience is another cornerstone of being unstoppable. The old you collapses under pressure, falters at the first setback, and interprets failure as a dead end. The new you sees setbacks as fuel, pressure as an ally, and failure as information. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to grow stronger. Every challenge a test to push beyond previous limits. Pain, rejection, and adversity are no longer threats. They are the fire that hones you, sharpens you, and propels you past the boundaries that once defined your limits. Being unstoppable means enduring what the weak avoid, moving when the timid stop, and thriving where others falter. The old you hides, the new you endures. Discipline is inseparable from the identity of the unstoppable. The old you acts when convenient, when energy aligns with desire, and when motivation strikes. The new you acts regardless of mood, circumstance, or comfort. Discipline bridges the gap between desire and execution. It ensures that no matter how tired, how challenged, or how uncomfortable the process becomes, you continue to move forward. Unstoppability is forged through repeated, intentional, disciplined actions over time. It is relentless because you refuse to surrender control of your life to distraction, procrastination, or weakness. Every habit, every routine, every decision must reinforce your commitment to dominance, or it is sabotaging it. Another critical aspect of committing to becoming unstoppable is self-reliance. The old you seeks validation, comfort, and approval. You wait for support, recognition, or permission to act. The new you refuses to be dependent. You understand that the journey to greatness is yours alone, and no one will carry your dreams, fight your battles, or endure your pain for you. Unstoppability comes from the ability to operate independently, to rely on your inner strength, and to generate results regardless of external support. When the old you relies on others, it remains limited. When the new you relies on self-mastery, it becomes infinite. Unstoppability also demands clarity of purpose. The old you drifts, tolerates, and allows life to dictate outcomes. The new you defines a missio and sets an unshakable vision and refuses to stray from the path, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable. Purpose is the compass that guides action. Without it, energy dissipates, effort is wasted, and the old you survives in lethargy and indecision. With clarity of purpose, every choice, every sacrifice, and every action becomes intentional. Obstacles no longer intimidate. They confirm the path you must walk. The new you moves with precision, conviction, and a relentless determination that cannot be halted. Commitment to becoming unstoppable also requires embracing discomfort as a constant companion. The old you seeks ease, avoids challenges, and craves predictability. The new you thrives in discomfort, understanding that the battlefield of success is never comfortable. Growth demands struggle. Strength requires adversity. Mastery is born from pushing past limitations when every fiber of your being wants to stop. Unstoppable people are not immune to pain. They are fueled by it, shaped by it, and driven to act regardless of it. The old you fears discomfort, The new you harnesses it as energy, leverage, and motivation to rise above every obstacle. Action without reflection is incomplete. The unstoppable person not only moves relentlessly, but also evaluates constantly. The old you acts randomly, inconsistently, and without strategic thought. The new you learns from every success, every failure, and every moment of struggle. You adjust, you refine, and you optimize. This creates a feedback loop of growth where every challenge, every setback, and every victory contributes to accelerating momentum. Unstoppability is not chaos. It is focused, adaptive, and ever growing. The old you remains static. The new you evolves continually. Finally, committing to becoming unstoppable is about identity. It is about telling yourself without compromise or hesitation that you will no longer tolerate limitation, weakness, or mediocrity. It is about refusing to negotiate with fear, to delay progress, or to let circumstances dictate your outcomes. You must internalize that every action you take, every habit you form, every thought you cultivate, and every decision you make either strengthens your unstoppable self or empowers the old you to survive. The commitment is total, uncompromising, and relentless. There is no partial effort, no temporary enthusiasm, and no room for retreat. Once you decide to become unstoppable, it is a permanent, unbreakable declaration. 2026 is the year to embody this principle fully. The old you hesitates, doubts, and succumbs. The new you acts, endures, and dominates. Commit to becoming unstoppable in thought, action, and spirit. Train your mind to refuse weakness, your body to endure, and your habits to reinforce discipline and consistency. Let no fear, failure, distraction, or discomfort stop you. The world will not wait. Opportunities will not pause. Every moment that passes is either a chance to grow or a moment wasted maintaining the old you. Choose growth, choose dominance, choose unrelenting, unstoppable action. The old you dies, the new you rises, relentless, fearless, and unbreakable. It's time to look in the mirror and face the truth. The person staring back at you is either the old you or the new you. The old you survives, it hesitates, it complains, it delays, and it fears. It waits for permission, it waits for the perfect moment, and it tells itself that comfort is safety. But comfort is death. Mediocrity is a slow killer. And every second you allow the old you to exist is another second lost, another opportunity missed, another dream left unclaimed. 2026 is calling for more than wishful thinking. It is calling for relentless transformation, for action that cannot be stopped, for a version of yourself so far, so disciplined, and so dominant that nothing in the world can derail it. The choice is yours. Let the old you linger or kill it completely and rise into the unstoppable force you were born to become. Everything we've talked about, the destruction of your old patterns, the breaking of your comfort zones, the rebuilding of your identity, the use of pain as fuel, the relentless pursuit of action, and the commitment to becoming unstoppable. These are not suggestions. They are commands for the next chapter of your life. Each moment you hesitate, each excuse you make, each fear you indulge gives the old you more strength and gives your potential less. But the moment you decide to act, the moment you decide to embrace discomfort, the moment you commit to discipline, is the moment the old you begins to die and the new you begins to dominate. This is not theory. This is not inspiration to feel good in the moment. This is the blueprint for real unstoppable transformation. You have to understand that nothing external will change for you unless you change from the inside. Opportunities, success, wealth, respect, and greatness do not fall into the laps of the passive. They are claimed by those who act, those who endure, those who refuse to quit, and those who transform struggle into fuel. The old you waited. The new you charges forward. The old you settles. The new you conquers. Every failure becomes proof that you are alive. Every pain becomes momentum, and every obstacle becomes a stepping stone to a version of yourself that is relentless, powerful, and unshakable. So I'm asking you right now, what are you willing to do to kill the old you? How far are you willing to go to destroy hesitation, excuses, and weakness? Will you stay comfortable and fade into the background, or will you step into the fire, embrace the struggle, and rise as someone the world cannot stop, cannot ignore, and cannot contain? The time is now. Every second you waste is a gift to the old you and a theft from the new you. Make no mistake, 2026 is your battlefield, your proving ground, and your stage. Stand up, step forward, and make every action, every choice, every ounce of effort a declaration that the old you no longer exists. When you leave this moment, let it burn your mind. Let it fuel your mornings, your nights, your decisions, your actions, and your persistence. Let the old you die piece by piece until nothing remains. And when 2026 looks back at you, let us see someone who is relentless, unstoppable, fearless, and unbreakable. Let us see someone who refused to wait, refused to compromise, and refused to settle for anything less than total domination of their life. Kill the old you, rise as the new you, dominate, and never, ever stop.